Hi, welcome to a very important session of Nourishing Your Health. This is about food allergies, food sensitivities. It goes along with digestion, the last one, but it helps solve a lot of the problems and helps make things work better once it's addressed. I know there's different definitions of food allergies as by which immune thing is attacked or not, and I don't want to get into all the details, but I want to get into three basic types of problems. And yeah, I've had that, but I could demonstrate by mentioning someone that I treated many years ago. She was like 22 years old. She had been a wilderness ranger the year before, hiking in the high mountains all the time, and great health and great stuff. And then someone at her church saw her, and she wasn't doing too well, and brought her to me. And my challenge was to get her better. And so the first thing I tried, is having foods that she didn't tolerate and getting her stronger. In Western medicine and Eastern medicine, digestion, turning food and energy relates a lot to food sensitivities and food allergies and allergies in general, and if that's healthy, usually there's not a problem. So I tried working on that to get her healthy. The problem I had is whatever she took, she would start reacting to. And that's not that uncommon. Common, I'd see people, I'd test for a bunch of things that see what they tolerate and they don't tolerate. And if they come back 5 weeks later, they hadn't eaten any of the things they don't tolerate, but they're eating the things they were tolerating. They might be tolerating the things they weren't tolerating before and not tolerating the new ones. The body seems to attach sensitivities to things you eat a lot of and you eat often. So if you tend to be a little weaker to begin with, it leaves you a lot weaker because you're not getting the nourishment you need. And I've had good luck with them, generally working with good probiotics. I mean, sure, there's a lot out there. They recently sort of been discovered by medicine. I've used them, 35 years ago or so. But some work better for others than, everyone has their own individual system and their own flora, and some things work well and some things might antagonize others if you get too many. So the challenge is to find one that works ideal with someone. And I do that, and I find sometimes, that's why I might have 8 different ones with me, because some people have been good practitioners, but nothing's helped them. So I need to find the thing that is going to help them and make a big difference. But in this person's case, we could try that, but she just wasn't tolerating things long enough to make a difference. So I knew what I needed to do, and I went down to LA and took NAET, Nambudipad's allergy elimination treatment series of workshops, and basically it helps you reprogram the body to tolerate things you don't tolerate. Now, 5 years before that, I had seen Debbie Nambubirpad talk, and she explained her system and how it sounded great. And I was just skeptical. Well, look, you help someone tolerate something they don't tolerate, well, they're going to react to something else. So I really didn't find it worth traveling to learn all that when I first saw it and heard her. But then I realized, when I took it, is what you do is you work on the nutrients the body needs the most to function well. And often you will end up not tolerating those. Like B complex, that's important for a lot of things. People like me may not tolerate it, and you're not benefiting from taking it. And same with protein. You need protein for everything to work well. If you're not tolerating it, you can eat a lot of protein, but it's not going to get into you. And minerals and other things. So you sort of start in the thing, not what bugs you the most. You don't worry about that. You work on what do they need the most to function well. So that helped me and helped me with a lot of other people. In fact, in that testing of myself, I realized, all the testing I had before, one thing was never tested for was salt. And salt just totally weakened me. And so, I started out in the workshops feeling great, and then eating at a buffet where I stayed, a lot of salt in the eggs, and man, I was just totally wiped out after a few days. So that was a big step forward for me, and someone else that had studied with Debbie and had her own system using Debbie's stuff was called Cutler, a chiropractor, later MD, and realized, things happen for different reasons, and one, if you're toxic, you don't tolerate a lot of things. So just like other people I've studied with that work on dealing with toxins and stuff, you learn ways to whether homeopathic or others ways to help clear the toxins out of the body. Because if you're toxed up, you're not going to do that well no matter what. You can reprogram the body to tolerate something, but if you need to clear a toxic load if that's what's really stressing you and keeping your organs from working. Otherwise, just one thing isn't going to really do it. And there's different ways of doing that. I don't know if it's worth getting into right now, but the other main factor with that is that sometimes people don't make all the enzymes they need to digest things well. Like in Ellen Cutler's thing, and she studied a lot in middle school and did all these things, and was working hard doing things, and then she took enzymes that helped break down carbohydrates, and it was like a new person. It was a new world. She had the energy to do things she really wanted. And I find a lot of people often don't have the enzymes to break down carbohydrates, and if they take them, they want more. They come back for that. It's like, wow, it's the difference of day and night. It makes them. For me, it wasn't carbohydrates. I didn't do well with digesting fats, so some enzymes that help for that would make my life a lot better, and it does. I still use them some occasionally, but it's just having what you need. So let's say you're not tolerating wheat or corn or something, and you're doing a treatment to help program you to tolerate it. And well, you could tolerate it for a while, but if you don't break it down, undigested proteins and things is seen as foreign objects to the body, so the immune system fights those and attacks those, and leaves your immune system weak and you stressed out, then there's going to be more inflammation going on in your body. So basically, you want to be able to tolerate what you're eating, and you want to be able to break it down. You don't want to have undigested things, which is like even in this virus, COVID going around, they talk about cytostorms of the inflammation in the body. And otherwise, you can have a lower level of inflammation in the body. But the idea is clearing that up so you have some vigor, you have some energy, and you feel well. Yes, like I mentioned in my previous one, I had this long list of things that I was supposedly not tolerating. At that time, it was a lot of years ago, and it was an expensive test. I did a bunch of expensive tests then. And, I was able to get better. But some people said, well, what they do is they say react to a lot of things, do the rotation diet, so you don't eat the same thing more than once every 4 days. And people say, well, it doesn't matter, if those things are real or not. Doing the rotation diet is going to get you stronger. And a lot of things are hard to prove without a lot of personal research, but that's why I got better using it, but I found ways it was way simpler for other people to do it. Because rotating your foods is not an easy thing to do, but if you're eating things that are stressing you all the time, you're going to feel wiped out. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have the vigor to do things, and life won't be the fun it should be. And of course, sometimes there can be some low-level parasites in the body. Parasites can exist by not calling attention to themselves. So they just live there happily and merrily along, sucking energy out of you. They're getting a good life, and you're getting less of a good life than you would if you didn't have them. And so there's a lot of things that can impact digestion and lead to its environment. There's allergies, the whole thing is having a healthy internal environment. So you can resist things. Some people that I've studied with say, oh, you should take a probiotic, about once a month for every year you've had a problem. And if you're, older and you take it, that could be a while. But it may be a while to have your environment optimally. Some people say, oh yeah, take some yogurt. Well, that's nice if everything's healthy to keep it going, because there are challenges in the world today. There are a lot of things put in the food and antibiotics and other things which keep digestion from working well. But it's good to get a top quality one from a top quality company. And and like I said, there's no one that works for everybody, even though it may be fancy and expensive and talked about. Sometimes a simple one is good initially, then you can get multiple strains of other things or billions of strains to work. But a lot of things are very individual, and if you're doing well, fine, you can try other things. That's why I've did a lot of energetic testing. And some of the reason it just saves people a ton of money. You can go and say, oh, take all these tests, come back $1,000 or $2,000 later, and then we'll talk about what to do. Or I could do a lot of testing the first time and tell people what to do and save them the money, and they're going to be better sooner. So to me, it seemed like, well, energetic testing may seem a little off or weird and not in the mainstream. So it's not going to make it the quick thing, but it gets effective results and saves time and saves money. You definitely do want to avoid things you don't tolerate. That's going to stress you out more. And then it comes to the question of gluten, and that's a big one. Some people it's wheat. Some people it may be in a whole lot of grains, and they may be really sensitive. And can you just do one treatment and clear for that? I don't think so. I mean, there are components of gluten you can work on individually. So people may tolerate it better, and there's degrees of sensitivity, like people get into anaphylactic shock. So they may want to get stronger so they won't have a severe reaction if they're not near medical care. But often, if they start not tolerating one thing, it may spread into other carbohydrates or other grains and stuff. Yeah, but usually, if you avoid the worst offenders, your body inflammation gets less, and you can start tolerating more things. I mean, everybody's different, and then again, when you're looking at toxic load, you're looking at enzymes, you're looking at other things there. And this gives you a basic idea. If people have any questions, ask me. I'll try to give more guidance in that. And if hopefully this is helpful, if you'd like to hit the subscribe button. I'll be doing some more of these, and I hope to get back into travel soon too. That was why I started all these things. But there is some importance of what I have here. And hit the like button or whatever, and enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, before I go, I want to mention one other trap that's easy to fall into, and that's the setting, okay, this is what I eat for breakfast, this is what I eat for lunch, this is what I eat for dinner. If you're healthy, you can often eat the same thing a lot, same meal every day, and do well. But if your body's not optimally par, variety can be really good. If you eat the same thing all the time, you may start not tolerating what you're eating all the time, and that can just sort of bring you down and make you feel sicker and worse. So variety is a very important component of things. And I tend to fall into that habit. I think that's maybe some of why I had problems to begin with. I'd get into habits. This is what I eat certain times, and it's convenient, it's nice, and everything. But look at that in yourself and seek out things you don't always eat. And try that for variety, and just make sure you that. Especially if you're having some problems or your health isn't optimal. Realize maybe something you're eating is not your friend.